Welcome to the latest of our weekly video podcasts. With the season well underway for all teams here at Park Hall, we had a chat with the head of the performance phase, Steve Benyon. Steve, the performance phase started back the first week in September, so we're 2 or 3 weeks into things now. How's it going so far?
Yeah, it's brilliant for the players to be in full time. As you correctly said, it's been 2 to 3 weeks now. You've got the current second years adapting to life well in terms of being on loan on a Saturday, so adjusting to adult football, and the new first years. So it's been an interesting journey so far, should we say? Challenging, but I think we're starting to see the rewards now, with a number of players representing the first team recently in a friendly against Wolves. And players starting now to get to grips in terms of what it needs to be a full-time player. So far so good, Rev.
And the second years, of course, you've worked with them previously, but those here for the first year, how's it going for them? They're all brand new players as far as you're concerned.
Yeah, so feedback from the college has been really, really positive, that they've adjusted to college life well. I think, in all honesty, a few of them weren't expecting the jump, from academy football in terms of training once or twice a week to training 3 times a week with potentially 2 games. So it was challenging to start with for a few players, but I feel that they haven't moaned about it, which is encouraging, and they've knuckled down and got on with it. And I think they're starting to see the rewards both on and off the pitch in terms of a social point of view as well. So we're seeing that it's not a first year and a second year divide, that the players are responding to each other, they're working each other out still. But no, it's been very positive, and the first years are adjusting well.
And the friendly against Wolverhampton Wanderers under-23s, 5 players travelled with the first team that day. Players that you've worked with personally. That must be particularly pleasing for you.
Yeah, I think the pleasing thing as well is we've got a first team manager and assistant manager here that believe in youth, which makes myself, Si, Jace, Kieran's, Connor, Sarge, whoever's involved in the performance phase, job's a little bit easier. The work that we do here, I don't mind saying it, is extraordinary. I'm fortunate enough to have a group of very, very supportive staff behind me, and we all share the responsibility well. And of course, a lot of the praise has got to go on the players. They've been brilliant. They've adapted well, as I said. And for Scotty to message and say, I need the 5 boys. Harry and CJ both started that game as well and had 90 minutes, I believe, and performed very, very well against a good 23 side. And then Liam Parry, Cal Jones and James Parry came on for the final half an hour. So it's not done yet, and we keep saying to the players, it's certainly not done. You've got still a hell of a lot to improve. You've done really well so far, but just look at the first team squad now. It's probably, since my time here, probably the most exciting. With the fact of the age of the players. Look at the players that are not even getting a sniff at present. They could probably walk into any Welsh Prem team side. So we keep trying to remind the players it's not done until really you're in full time with the first team. So we're keeping the players a little bit grounded, as we have to do. But I'm certainly very, very proud that they've represented. But my job's not done, our job's not done, because we want them to hopefully adapt well to their senior environment, which they are doing, which I'll go on to in a moment. That we obviously want Scotty and Endeavour to turn around and say we want them in every week, we want them in everyday training, and we want them to obviously play and start in Welsh Prem matches. So far so good, but as I said, I think a massive bonus is the support from the first team, including obviously Ed and Giggsy as well, that are very heavily involved within the phase. And it just seems that both phases are very closely connected, which is very encouraging. So long may that continue.
You mentioned some of the players' names there, of course, out on loan. How much of an awareness do you have of those individual players week by week as they play elsewhere?
Well, of course, Rev. Part of my role here within the performance phase alongside Jace is to assist Matt Burton with training and match days for FC Oshley Town, with the link between both the new Saints FC and Oshley Town. Scotty came up with the idea with myself to get some of the boys involved, and Liam Parry, Cal Jones, CJ, and Harry have been heavily involved bar the international clearance, which has been cleared up. So we obviously, I can have first-hand what's the word I'm looking for, involvement with their development. Of course, Scotty asks every day how they're getting on, as well as other players as well. So that's easier said than done. But you've got James Parry at Guildford. Lenny's a close friend of mine and has got links with the club as well. So that's easy to keep an eye on what James is doing at Guildford. James Gregg is waiting for international clearance at Ellesmere, so I understand his frustration, but his attitude's been spot on. He still trains and plays and trains with Ellesmere as well, so hopefully that will come through in the next couple of weeks or so. You've got Harley at Brickfield, again adapting to life well. He's got a hell of a lot of ability. He just needs to obviously test himself in probably a more physical environment. Matt Cole is at Holywell, currently at the moment recovering from a shoulder injury, but I've had very, very good reports in there. I don't think I've missed anybody out. I hope I haven't missed anybody out. Oh, sorry, yeah, you've got Tom Williams and Izzy, both doing really, really well at Bury, who are competing at the top of Spa, been hoping to get back into the Premier Alliance. So I'm in close contact with all the managers, and it's pleasing to hear the reports that they're doing really, really well. Of course, no one in this phase is to finish the article, but we just feel as a club that we have to provide them with the opportunities, and of course it helps us on a Sunday. Probably why people have sat up and thought they're not steamrolling that in that development league. Well, in all honesty, all the players are 16. We're playing against 19, 20, 21-year-olds, so I'm not using that excuse at all. That's what we want. We want the players to be challenged in an environment earlier rather than late. And as I say, other teams probably have to recognise that we're going to throw a few more probably under 15s and under 16s in the 19s, because the academy staff are doing a fantastic job with producing players. So if they're ready, why not throw them in? Which is obviously a message that's been said by Scott. So second years are doing very, very well. Obviously Lewis Dutton, thank God, is coming back from injury, and I don't mind saying on camera he had some fantastic news regarding one of his family members, which I'm absolutely chuffed to bits with. So Lou, if you're watching, brilliant, absolutely fantastic. So he's just got back into full-time training as well, which is just going to be a breath of fresh air. He's phenomenal for this club, both on and off the pitch. So I think he'll be more involved now with the first team. So it's going well. It's going well, Rev. So as I said, it's still September, and we've still got 6 months left of the season. So hopefully the second years continue. But yes, we've got Ryan McVeigh, the current first-year player that's with Lanther on an ad hoc basis as such. But again, reports on Ryan have been very, very positive from Suave and Lanther. So I think the key thing is communication between myself and the managers, communication between myself and the players and the coaches in terms of managing their workload, rather than overdoing it. But at the end of the day, the first team train full-time, so we have to prepare the players for that scenario as well.
Well, Steve, as you've already mentioned, football on a Sunday as well. Throughout the week, anything but a day of rest, because there's the JD Welsh Premier Development League North, to give it its full title. As you've already said, Steve, lots of youngsters playing for the New Saints against players who are 2-3 years older than them. So although we are the current holders of that competition, it will be a tough one this time round.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a clue in the title, development, but here at the New Saints we breathe winning, we breathe success, so we have to install that in our players. I know certainly within the older age groups as well, within the academy, they're starting to do that, because players need to realise when they come in this phase, they're potentially into the first team. There's no second years and first years anymore. It's a squad. Even on a Wednesday, it's not the EDS1 squad of the second years. It's if you're good enough and you're better than somebody at that present stage, then you're in. So it's been an indifferent start, should I say. Narrowly losing to Llandudno first game of the season, probably to a few team errors, which I'd probably accept. And was a little bit sluggish then and slow against Rill. And again a disappointing home defeat here against Druids, but I feel that the players were still adapting. But they've backed that up, and they've shown obviously a lot of the traits that we look for in TNS players in terms of the courage and the determination and the desire to want to succeed and want to do better. And we've come off the back of a convincing home display against Flint, and a convincing 1-0 away win against a very, very good and organised Newtown, must I say. We say to the players, there's no easy game at this level, because when the team see TNS, that's their cup final, because no disrespect, we are probably the most hated team in this area because of the success we breathe. But my message is hell. I wouldn't want to work for any other club. The pressure is on us all the time, and we have to install that with the players. And we're starting to see the rewards. Free week this week, which is good. So I might try and get down to Cardiff, or probably go and watch. I might go and watch Connors Quay, or Bangor, should I say? Sorry. So obviously we've got them in a couple of weeks' time, but we're back to action on the 7th against Kevin Albion. So no, the 19s is doing well. As I said, it's a very young squad, but I'm not putting age at it. If they're good enough, they'll play, and we're still waiting for international clearance on a few players. So that squad is just going to get us stronger as well. So it's all positive, Rev.
This weekend, the first team travels to the capital to take on Cardiff Metropolitan University FC. Here's the press conference featuring our manager, Scott Ruscoe. Scott, the New Saints have a plus goal difference of 20. Connors Quay Nomads have a plus goal difference of 12. The only two teams in the JD Welsh Premier League to date to actually have plus goal differences. That shows really what a close season it's been in general.
Yeah, and if you look at it, there's not been too many draws. It's been you either win the game or you lose the game. So, yeah, it's just how it's worked out. But we're happy with our goal difference, and the things we needed to improve on, and we have done over the last few games. So that's pleasing.
I guess in many ways, Scott, it's about the New Saints first and foremost, and what the pack does is not really your concern as a manager.
Always is. You know, we'll have some tough games along the way. You know, obviously we hope to win the majority. We'll draw the odd few, and if we keep them losses down to a bare minimum, we'll certainly hopefully improve on where we were last season. We've got targets, like I've stated before: goals scored, goals conceded, clean sheets. They're all up there. How many assists can you get? We've been at the top of those charts the last few years. So we know where we need to improve. We don't just say where we need to improve. We know as a unit, as a core group, our strengths and weaknesses, and where we're looking to improve in all areas.
As you say, Scott, some tough games along the way. We're yet to play Cardiff Met this season. Of course, this weekend's fixture is the first game. But last time round, although we beat them in the Nathaniel MG Cup by the odd goal, in the 4 league games we played, we won 1, drew 3. So they've been tight fixtures over the last season plus.
Yeah, they are. They usually are, and certainly away we've drawn. I can remember winning there a couple of seasons ago. But 3 draws and 1 win. We're looking to turn those draws into wins.
Now, Cardiff Met, their run of form this season has probably not been what they wanted. They've lost 4 games so far out of the 7. I guess that could be looked at from both sides of the coin. It's a good time to play them, but also they'll be looking to put those wrongs right as far as they're concerned.
Yeah, and you know, they lost at Newtown last week, lost 2-1, but overall I think they had a shout with at least a draw or winning the game. You know, I think overall they were possibly the stronger team. So Newtown have got that. Maybe they're not getting the rub of the green. Maybe they're not creating enough. You know, Ruscoe's been out most of the season, all the season. I think he's slowly coming back. I think he'll probably be involved on Sunday, whether he starts or whether he comes on from the bench. But he's a handful. He's a problem on his day when he's at his fittest and strongest. He can cause you problems. So he's one where we've got to be wary of.
And although many people still talk about the season as the early stages, following the game this weekend, it will be 1/4 of the way through the campaign. Going into the fixture, the New Saints have scored 22 goals, conceded 2, top of the table. I guess at the start of the campaign, you would have settled for that sort of statistic.
Yeah, you know, sometimes in the past after Europe we've stuttered a bit and we've drawn a couple or we've lost a couple early on and not gone on. But you know, the record there, you said 5 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. It's a very good start, and the way we've dealt with the other teams and scored some very good goals at home. You know, we've took the initiative. We've not just scored 1 and 2. We've gone on 3, 4, 5, 6 on a couple of occasions as well. So it's pleasing that we are hitting the back of the net. And you know, last Friday, although we didn't score a goal, I felt we still did enough overall to get a slender victory. It wasn't to be. It was a 0-0. It's not the end of the world, and it's certainly a draw against one of the better sides anyway.
And as you talk about the goals scored, of course, at the other end, 5 consecutive clean sheets. That's an impressive statistic on its own.
Yeah, you know, we want clean sheets. We want to be horrible to play against. Not just that team that go and dictate the game and have huge amounts of possession. We want to be secure at the back, knowing full well that if they do play on the counter, we can deal with it. We can mop it up. We can defend. We know who's going to defend in certain stages of the game. Set plays are one where we need to strengthen, and we have done. So the lads have got their targets, and they're sticking to them, and we go on week in, week out about what we need to do, and they certainly are listening at the moment to what we're asking of them.
And our opponents, Cardiff Met, they've scored 8, conceded 8, so they're one of the handful of teams with a neutral goal difference. I guess the threat of Ruscoe in particular could be one that we need to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and Elliot Evans as well. You know, he's a handful. He gets good quality into the box. He scores. He's a scorer of good goals. He's a scorer of a number of goals last season. It was a very good season for him. You know, they've lost a couple of players through whatever is their way with the university, but you know, they've lost the winger Lamb, they've lost the keeper, who was a very good keeper for them. So they're bringing new players in all the time, which they have to. Whether it's taking a little bit of time to gel, whether it's you know, early season where they've probably underachieved a little bit, but it starts Sunday again. You know, they lost last week. They want to put that right, and we want to put our draw right as well. You know, we drew the last week. We certainly don't want another draw. We want to win this game on Sunday.
You produced a reasonably settled starting lineup so far this season in the Welsh Premier League, without giving away any clues, of course. Not that you would, but are we likely to see a similar pattern this time round?
Yeah, there's no reason to change. You know, it might be one where you give people you know, 2, 3, 4 games. If they are not playing to those standards, then they will come out of the side. I certainly wouldn't be chopping and changing all the time, big wholesale changes. That's not what we're about. We've got a structure to the way we play. We work on it. We've had a great week of training this week. You know, Monday, Tuesday, we've had 4 or 5 sessions, I think, coming up to the game on Sunday. So all the detail that they're given at the start of the week about Cardiff Met and how they play, and we'll have a game plan to make sure that we go out and we're on the front foot, we're positive, and we're playing with freedom and what have you. So we're looking forward to the game Sunday, and it's a big week of football because we also play next Wednesday and the Saturday after, so coming thick and fast. Yeah.
That was my next question actually. On Wednesday we travel to Prestatyn Town in the Nathaniel MG Cup.
Yeah.
So will that have any bearing on Sunday selection, or will it rather be the other way around? Yeah,
it'll be a completely different side against Prestatyn. Everyone that needs minutes will play, and it's one where we can have a look at different things. No disrespect to Prestatyn, but we should be going there with any one of our 21 squad and beating them. You know, where we are current champions, we would feel the same going into any cup tie against a lower league side.
And finally, Scott, as always, we look at the injury situation here at Park Hall.
Yeah, everyone's training. Everyone in the squad is available and fit and able for selection Sunday.
That sounds like another managerial selection headache.
Yes, it is, but that's the way of the world. It's one where I'd rather have it than not have it, and I wouldn't like to be scratching around with 12 or 13 players because, you know, there's no competition for places there. People take things lightly, think they're going to play. At the moment, I don't think anyone's assured of a starting position.
I hope you've enjoyed this week's video podcast. Don't forget to check out our website for all things relating to the champions of Wales.